Hello everyone, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and from unboxings.com. Here I have the brand new Samsung Galaxy S or the Samsung Galaxy i9000. I'm going to do a quick unboxing video for you before we actually take a proper look at the handset, do a full review. But let's start with the unboxing. So first of all, let's open the box, and immediately inside, right on top, we have a handset. You notice it takes up pretty much the whole of the top of the box because it's a pretty large handset. Come back to that in a second. Just want to take a look at the accessories. So under another layer we have the user manual and warranty card and all that kind of stuff. Then we have get to know your Galaxy S, which is nicely printed in colour, covers the basics of getting started, covers things like how to use swipe, which is the text entry method, as well as some eye contact, all that kind of stuff, or how to use the menus, all the basics. Inside also we have a mains charger, so it's a UK charger, 3-pin with a micro USB connector, pretty standard. Then have a set of, well, it's actually a wired headset. So it has a 4-pole 3.5mm jack on one end, followed by a length of cable, and an inline microphone with a push button. Headphones themselves are your typical in-ear style, and these are pretty good, the Samsung ones. I've had these on some other handsets, including the Samsung Wave, and they are among the best of the headsets that you get with mobile phones. In actual fact, they're pretty decent quality. I suspect that most people are going to want to use their own headphones if they're only using it for music, but as a headset goes, it's pretty damn decent. This is your standard USB to micro USB cable that's used for sync and charge. One thing I like about this is the fact that you get a charger which is completely separate to, you know, your sync charge cable, so you can leave one plugged into the computer and obviously one in the wall, and one doesn't rely upon the other. That's all that's in the box. So the battery is the last thing, and it is a 1500 mAh battery, and well, it's quite large and it's fairly weighty. Let's go ahead and install that in the handset. It's in a little bag. I'll just take that out, and what it tells us on the front is obviously that it's the Galaxy S. It has a Super AMOLED display, which was also on the Samsung Wave. It is a fantastic display technology, one that you really have to see to believe. The fact that it's got Android, Social Hub, GPS and Wi-Fi. Now let's just turn over. It tells us on the back that it says with Google, and we'll just remove the back cover. Pops off like so. Underneath we have a space for micro SD card, which supports up to 32GB micro SDHC memory cards, and then also a space for the SIM card just sliding underneath. You have to remove the battery to access the SIM card, but you don't have to remove the battery to access the micro SD memory card. Now this model is an 8GB model, comes from our friends over at Clove Technology. There is a 16GB model available soon, hasn't been released yet, but what Clove are doing is actually, if you buy the 8GB model, as a special offer, they're going to throw in an 8GB micro SDHC memory card. So at the time of recording the video, if you head over to clove.co.uk, you can actually get that offer. So you effectively get a 16GB for the price of the 8, so that's a pretty good deal. That cover pops back on like so then. It's a little bit plasticky on the back, I have to say, but once it's in place, it's pretty secure. Let's switch back round to the front, peel off that protector that it ships with. So on the front we have a forward-facing VGA camera for kind of video conferencing and video calling, that sort of stuff. Then we have a 4-inch display, 4-inch diagonal, which is 480 by 800 pixels, and as I've already said, it is the Super AMOLED display. I think almost all of the Samsung handsets are going to come out with this type of display now. The Wave and the Galaxy S have that type of display. As I say, it is really fantastic. We'll have a look at that in a second. Underneath we have actually touch sensitive keys. They're not physical push buttons, it's just touch sensitive, so it's a menu and a back button, and then basically an action button in the centre. That is a physical press button, which makes a clicking sound, tactile. Looking down the left hand side, we'll have a hole there, which I think is where we actually connect a phone charm or an eyelet or lanyard. Up and down volume control rocker there, which is a pretty standard place to have it on the left hand side, but it's just in that place. Really not a great deal to see on the bottom. There's a little cutout in the back cover which allows us to remove the back cover using our fingernails, and then there is a little hole there which is actually the microphone. And on the right hand side, well, there's even less to see, if anything. There's a power button, and that's it. You notice there's no dedicated camera button, which is a bit of a shame, some might say. On the top we have a 3.5mm headphone socket, where obviously we can plug in standard 3.5mm style jack headphones, or we can use the wired headset that comes with it. And then we have a cover over the micro USB connector. Now I think that's pretty good. It's fully captive. It doesn't require two hands to use. You slide it out of the way, you plug in, and you slide it back. It's pretty straightforward. You're not going to lose anything. Looks like it's going to be pretty robust, and a pretty decent solution. And it also will stop or help to prevent dust getting inside there and then eventually under the screen. So that's a pretty good idea. On the back we have a 5-megapixel autofocus camera. I have seen this in action already on a demo model that we saw a couple of nights ago at the Galaxy S launch event, and it's really very good. It works very well in low light conditions, but you'll notice there isn't a flash, no LED flash, or no flash in actual fact. Bit of a shame. I know many people are already starting to ask questions as to why a brand new high-end handset like this wouldn't have a flash. Samsung's response to that is that they didn't want to increase the size or the thickness of the handset. So that's their answer. The camera does work very well in low light anyway, so that sort of answers that a little bit as well. But yeah, obviously as you can see, it doesn't include a flash. Bit of a pity. There is a nice bit of styling down here at the bottom, and it kind of kicks up. It just makes it a little bit easier to hold, especially when you're sort of holding it for, you know, using texting down the bottom there with the touch screen. I am just going to power up, looking for the power button, which is on the side. And we'll just wait for that to start. Quickly run down the rest of the specification. It is quad band for GSM, so GSM, GPRS and Edge is quad band. 3G and HSDPA is tri-band, and HSDPA is at 7.2 megabits per second, and HSUPA 5.76. Pretty fast internet connectivity there. And we'll wait for that to stop. So pretty fast internet connectivity, and it will work pretty much wherever you take it in the world when you're roaming. So without that quad and tri-band connectivity is pretty decent. Android 2.1, Android 2.2 has been slated to be coming within the next few weeks. That's what we've been told by Samsung when we were at the launch event a couple of days ago. Personally, if we see it within the next couple of weeks, I'll be very surprised, but apparently it's coming soon. Let's say 5-megapixel autofocus camera on the back, 4-inch WVGA display, 480 by 800 pixels, which is, as I say, AMOLED or Super AMOLED. HD video recording is possible at 720p 30 frames a second with MPEG-4 and HS264, HS263 encoding. Does support DivX and XVID playback, which is pretty good. Android Market, as you would expect. It's got GPS, assisted GPS. It has a 1 gigahertz processor, keeps things chugging along quite nicely. And 16 and 8 gig versions available. This is the 8 gig model. As I say, Clover providing an 8 gig micro SD card with that as well, free of charge, as a special offer at the moment. 512 meg of RAM, and storage is up to 32 gig with that micro SD card. Now the size, 64mm wide, 122mm from top to bottom, and just under 10mm thick, 9.9 in actual fact. The weight is the thing that really strikes me about the Galaxy when it's in your hand. It's only 119 grams. It feels really light. Almost feels like a dummy unit, in fact, because it is that light in your hand. You expect something this size to be pretty heavy. Now, many people think that the Galaxy S is actually going to very much rival the HTC Desire, which I have here. We can just do a comparison with. And now the Desire has a 3.7-inch display. Spec is otherwise fairly similar. It is AMOLED screen versus Super AMOLED screen, and say 3.7 versus the 4-inch on the Samsung. But operating system is pretty similar. It's obviously Android 2.1, and other specifications in terms of processor performance and that sort of thing, fairly similar. But obviously HTC have their Sense user interface, and Samsung have their own thing. So we'll look at that in a second. And the other thing that people are saying is that it might actually make inroads into the iPhone market. Now it's, and again, another comparison there. You see the iPhone screen is that bit smaller. The handset itself is that bit smaller, but the Galaxy S is that bit thinner. And well, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months, especially with the launch of the iPhone 4. So that's enough talking about specification. Let's have a quick look around the device itself. So very similar to many Android devices, and it's a swipe to unlock. So we sweep out the way to unlock, and we're presented with the home screen. Unlike other Android devices, we actually start all the way to the left in terms of the number of home screens, or the number of screens that form the home screen. So we have the Google search at the top with audio search, Google Mail, Maps, Market, Talk, YouTube, Write, and I don't know what it is, Write and Go, which is basically like a notepad. Come back out there. So then we have the phone, contacts, messaging, and applications down the bottom. We can swipe across, and then we have another page with another widget on here, which is Daily Briefing, which basically looks like a news feed, AccuWeather, Finance, and AP Mobile. There's a little thing down the bottom with no schedules. A third page, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. 7 pages in total. Pretty standard for an Android 2.1 handset. So we can swipe all the way across. And back to the beginning. And obviously we can add widgets here by pushing the menu button. And we can add Samsung widgets, Android widgets, Samsung widgets, such as AccuWeather. And it has an AccuWeather clock, so an analog style clock. Where it tells us to select city and it will display the weather underneath. There's quite a lot of widgets that we can have a look at. We'll look at those possibly a bit more in a later video though. So if we go into the phone, we can see the phone dialer. It's a pretty standard looking phone dialer. Large keys though, and because it is a capacitive display, it's extremely sensitive. Slightest touch is enough to actually dial the number. You've got a call log, favourites, and then we can get to contacts from there too. Or from the home screen, which we get to by pushing that middle button, home button. We can go to contacts that way. Obviously I don't have any set up because just turn the phone on. And messaging, so that's text messaging and emails. Compose a new message. And we have a nice QWERTY keyboard, which is pretty decent. Fairly standard Android QWERTY keyboard, but that works quite well. We can rotate the display. I'll rotate the handset, and the display automatically rotates to suit. So we have a landscape keyboard, which is that bit larger, offering a bit more space, which means that you can use 2 fingers or 2 thumbs to easily type on the display, and then we rotate back. Rotate is pretty nippy as well. There's not much lag in actually doing the rotation. The other options that we have down here is we have other keyboard types. So we can have a 3x4 keyboard, which is like a T9 style keypad. We can have handwriting box, and well, we're supposed to also have swipe on here, but not immediately apparent. I know that it's definitely featured, but it might have something that we have to later install, or that we find elsewhere, or that we have to turn on or activate. So as it's the first time I'm using the handset, hopefully you can forgive me for not finding that immediately. We'll have a look at that perhaps in a later video. We'll do a follow-up video in actual fact when we demo more of this stuff. Applications. Under applications we have calculator, calendar, gallery, Google Mail, internet, layer, which is augmented reality, Google Maps, Android Market, memo, and mini diary, music player, Think Free, Office, and voice recorder and YouTube application. There's some bits and pieces in there. There's 2 pages worth. If we install more, it just takes up a little bit more room, and we have more pages. Now, does that look familiar to anybody in any way? Maybe slightly iPhone-ish, perhaps, dare I say? It's very familiar. It does look very much like an iPhone sort of interface. But I guess there's only so many ways to actually display icons on a page. But the fact that we've got 4 down the bottom and then sort of 16 up the top there, it's very iPhone similar. But if we come back out here, we go into the settings down the bottom, and we can go into wireless and network. We'll go to Wi-Fi settings. Let's see if we can pick up a Wi-Fi network. This is a pretty good test because my Wi-Fi network is some distance away, so let's turn Wi-Fi on. And let's see, it's not picking up my wireless network at the moment, but that's no problem. we'll come back and we'll do, again, as I say, in a later video, we'll demo more of the apps. We'll go onto the Android market, we'll look at the browser, we'll demo it in a bit more detail. So we'll make sure that we can have the wireless network back then. And if we come back to the home screen, the other thing that we can do from here is change the wallpapers. We can change it to live wallpaper if you're bored with the one that we got there. So let's pick, let's pick Blue Sea. Don't know what that is. Is that wallpaper? Okay, and it looks kind of like jellyfish or bubbles floating around the display, which is kind of interesting, kind of cool. And we can touch on them and they light up. Yeah, so that's a bit different. So it does support live wallpapers. Obviously we need to have an internet connection to use Maps, Google Mail or the Android market. A quick pop into the other applications. Well, it's in the clock, it's in the camera. Let's have a quick look at the camera. And, well, just to demo the camera, let's take a photograph of that getting started guide. Quick snap. And I'll put back out there. And let's go into gallery. Take a look at that picture. As you can see there, it's pretty decent. It does support 2-finger zoom, so we can pinch and pull to zoom in and out. It's not bad. It's not fantastically in focus, but then there is a lot of reflection there. Colour reproduction is pretty good next to the original, so it's not bad. Again, once it comes to do the full review, I'll make sure that we take photographs of something slightly more interesting than obviously the user manual. So I think that covers really some of the basics of the handset. Gives you an idea of what to expect. What you can't really see in a video like this is how good the display is. The Super AMOLED display is really very good. Colour is fantastic, really rich, especially sort of greens and oranges and greens and reds. That's where you kind of notice it most, or I think you notice it most in actual fact, is with the greens and reds. The greens and reds and the oranges down the bottom here sort of kind of almost jump off the page. So it's very good. You're not really going to appreciate that in a video, I'm afraid, but trust me, or go and see it in your local high street and I think you'll be impressed with the display. It really is fantastic. So that is a very quick demo video for you and unboxing video for you of the Samsung Galaxy S. I'll have some more video for you over the next couple of days in which I'll demo things like Android Market, Google Mail, and how the mail works, how the calendars work, how synchronization works, how it works on Wi-Fi, and how the browser works, and Google Maps and that kind of stuff. So I'll have that for you over the next couple of days on tracyandmatt.co.uk. But for now, hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on tracyandmatt.co.uk.